we're just starting or getting ready for our next episode of Office Hours. Today I have Shyam with me. It's a pleasure to have Shyam attending us on this one. So we'll be speaking, of course, about the agenda when we kick this one off. So just giving some minutes for people to join, and then we'll go straight to the good stuff. I see already some people live, so probably we can get started with just the initial introduction. So we already have the links to the presentation if you want to follow up on what we'll be going through on this office hour. So let me just share my screen. Sorry, not this one. One second. So for this office hours episode, we'll be covering some product insights. So what's new and some upcoming plans on what we are working on. As I shared in the beginning, I have today with me Shyam, who's also a product manager at Netdata, and he'll be helping me out sharing some of this cool stuff that we are doing. So welcome, Shyam, and nice to have you with us.
Thanks, Hugo. Nice to be here.
So as usual, the agenda is this introduction spotlight. We'll see what we'll cover on the spotlight, the open slot for questions that might come from the audience through our chat interactions, and then sharing some of the questions and feedback that we saw raised on the community that could be interesting for people to know about these discussions. So on the spotlight, we'll be covering two topics that is stuff that we are working at the moment, and hopefully we'll be soon to release this to you. So the first one is the Home tab revamp, which will have Shyam explaining us this work and is actually driving this initiative internally. Then we'll show a bit the custom dashboard, so a sneak peek into what we are doing on our custom dashboards. Both of these are still in kind of a dogfooding state, and one more closer to release, like the Home tab. But both are kind of in the final touches for us to kind of have this ready for you to have it available. And then we'll be speaking about upcoming plans. So this is kind of a short period of time, like next couple of months, that we'll be working on, and we'll be sharing a bit of what's coming up ahead, so you guys have a more kind of visibility and what's coming. So without further ado, let me pass the mic to Shyam, and he can guide us on the Home tab stuff.
Thanks, Hugo. Yeah, so don't bother squinting too much to see this particular image because we'll show you a demo. But the idea is that we've got feedback from a lot of users from the community about the current Home tab that we have. So the intent when we developed the Home tab was to have a place where you can see not just a real time view of what's going on, but also kind of understand what needs attention in your infrastructure, in your space, in your room. Like, what is the thing that you should focus on, and get like a single glance to see what's going on. Is there anything that needs quick attention, right? Another feedback that we'd got frequently was if there is a better way to visualize the infrastructure that's being monitored by Netdata. So we have all these nodes, especially in larger spaces. where there's tens or hundreds of nodes across different kinds of infrastructure. You have a bunch of stuff on AWS, you have other things which are bare metal, you have a Kubernetes cluster. So it can become a bit difficult to visualize all of this in a single frame. You have the nodes tab, but then if you have hundreds of nodes, you have to scroll a lot there. And in the metrics tab, you have all of the metrics coming in from different places, but you still don't get the node level view. So this is the main feedback that we've tried to address here. So we've added what we call a node map view, which is kind of a hexagonal map node view that you see for every single node. And the cool thing is that you can group this
Seems very.
to view this in. We lose the screen. Yeah. And the other thing that we didn't really have, but we're adding now, is the ability to visualize the streaming within the Netdata infrastructure. So which nodes are parent nodes, which nodes are child nodes, for a particular node, who are its, is its data being replicated? If yes, who are its parents? And for a parent node, who are its children? So this information was always there, but it was not something that you could easily visualize, and now we can do that. And in terms of alerts, we'll have the active alerts, but we'll also have kind of a snapshot of what happened in the last 24 hours, right? So this might be important because when you might not always be active on Netdata, so the alerts would come and go. But when you do log in, it would be really useful for you if this was the alert that was most frequently occurring in the last 24 hours, or this was the alert that was active for the longest time in the last 24-hour period. So this is what we're trying to provide here. And I think we can jump into the demo. That might be easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Yeah. You
So let
can
me
share your screen.
share my screen.
Okay. You're good to go.
Yeah. Okay. I hope this is visible. So try this here. So in this particular space, we have a total of 9 nodes, and this is the node map view that I was talking about. And if you mouse over a particular node, you get all of the key details about that node, right? Is it live? Is the connection stable? Are there any active alerts? What kind of node is it? The key specifications about it. Does it have a parent? In this case, you can see that this node does have a parent node. It doesn't have any children node. And this is its parent, right? So here you can see the previous node in the children list. And like I said, you can choose to group this by, for example, status. So there's 3 different statuses that you can see here. But of course, there's stale as well. In this case, there are no stale nodes. You can group it by the operating system that's running, the technology, the agent version. So this is an easy way of finding out quickly, like if you have any agents that are running on an older version, you can quickly kind of identify what's happening here. We also plan to add more things that you can group by. So this is what we have currently, but once we release this, we plan to add more things. So you could, for example, group this by um, AWS nodes, what flavor of AWS nodes they are, right? So are they a large instance, a smaller instance, what kind of EC2 instance they are, which region of AWS they belong to. All of this information exists. So it, depending on what users find useful, we can add more things in here. And you can also group this by replication. So what this means is that, you have 8 nodes here, which don't have their data replicated anywhere. And there's only a single node with a parent. So it has its data being replicated at least to another node. And then you can also choose to color by different things. So the default coloring is by the status. So green is live, gray is offline, and the beige color here is unseen. But you also have something called connection stability. And here we have not just stable and unstable, but if there is intermittent connectivity issues, we also intend to show the node flickering, right? So that maybe the connection is fine now, but we've noticed over the past X time that the connectivity is kind of patchy. in that case, you would see this kind of flickering on and off. And you can also see it by replication factor here. And again, in the future, we hope to add more things here. For example, coloring by anomaly rate. So you know which of your nodes are the most anomalous at this moment in time. So this is the key idea of the node map. And of course, you can click add node and directly start adding nodes from here as well without having to traverse to the connect a new node page. So hopefully this is something that's going to be useful. And on the right here, some of these numbers might not make sense at the moment, so ignore them because this is still in testing, and we will be fixing some issues before we release this in a few days. But the idea is you should quickly be able to see how many parents you have, how many children you have, and also how many standalone nodes you have, as well as understand how many of these agents, Netdata agents, are replicating their data across different nodes. And then in terms of the alerts, we show you the active alerts, which I think we currently already do in the home tab. But beyond this, we wanted to show, which nodes had the most alerts in the last 24 hours, which were the top alerts in the last 24 hours. And you can directly click on this and then traverse to the alerts page. So unfortunately, on this testing space, there are no active alerts in the last 24 hours. I had an alert here for this demo, but I think the 24-hour period rolled over and it disappeared. But that's okay. I think you guys get the idea. And on the right here, we show how many metrics are being collected, how many charts are being visualized. And again, this number isn't accurate right now, but the idea here is to show how many total alerts are available. This means all the built-in data alerts plus any custom alerts that you've created yourself would be this number. That means that these are the total number of alerts that Netdata is kind of checking for every second, right? And then at the bottom here, we have data retention per nodes. This is another panel where we do want, we've got some feedback from some users, I think in one of the previous office hours, that it would be really cool if we can show data retention across the different tiers here. And that's what we eventually want to do. It still requires some more work on the agent side. So what we have right now is out of all the total nodes, we have this histogram view. So what this means is, in this case, 6 nodes have a data retention of less than a week, but you have one node which has a retention of 1 month to 3 months. This is probably the parent node that we saw earlier. So you would at least know which nodes have low retention, long retention, and then on top you should be eventually be able to group by the retention, so that you can fix any nodes which have lesser retention unintentionally, for example. But ideally, what we want to get to is to be able to do this across the different tiers. So you would be able to know that, on tier 0, which is per second metrics, you have a retention of a week, and it's costing you X amount of storage. Tier 1, which is per minute storage, has X amount of retention duration, as well as what's the storage cost associated to it. So that might help you, decide if you need to reconfigure things, if you need to change anything. And then finally, we have the Netdata Assistant, which you've already seen in the Alerts tab previously, where it was providing troubleshooting information for specific alerts. With the new Home tab, what we're doing is we're introducing chat mode to the Netdata Assistant. So you can actually talk to it just like you do with any other assistant, like you do with ChatGPT or whatever assistant that you've used in the past. So you just need to click on the Start Conversation button. I already had a conversation going, so that's what you see here. So kind of comes up with some pre-configured general messages, but in principle, you can ask it anything you want about Netdata. If you ask about something not related to Netdata, it's probably going to decline to answer and point you to go use Google or something. But in general, you can ask it anything you want, and do provide your feedback when you do access this feature, because it's still, I would say, it's still beta. So more feedback we get, we can make it better, we can make it more helpful. I think I covered everything that we have, and hopefully this feature should be out in a few days. so everybody can start testing it and sharing more feedback. And from a mid to longer term point of view, we don't um, anticipate that the home tab is going to be like this static thing which only has what you see here in this screen right now. It's going to be evolving over time. So we look forward to feedback from the community, really, to see how we can make this even better.
And eventually it will link to the custom dashboard stuff where people could even customize the home tab the way they want. So
Yeah, that's the idea. So we see this kind of bleeding over both ways. So ideally, with the custom dashboards, you should be able to take any chart or any panel or any information from anywhere that you see from any tab and put it into a custom dashboard of your own. But also, just like you are able to customize a custom dashboard, you should be able to customize the other things as well. So that's the end goal. That's where we want to get to. But yeah, we're taking baby steps at the moment.
and hopefully bring value to the users as we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Thanks, Jam. So just checking if there's any question. Actually, not a question, but Louis kind of announced that he was one of the person that shared about the request of the retention.
Yeah.
So Louis is the guilty user. Cool. So cool. Let me go back then to the slides. So this is the stuff we have been doing on the home tab, a bit of a glimpse to what we plan to do as well on that. So the next thing we want to showcase or to demo is the work we are doing at the moment on the custom dashboards. So as you have seen on our app, we did a big refactoring of charts, a big refactoring of the overview screen, the single node tab, and now it's actually time to take some attention to the custom dashboard that has been kind of left as it was for quite some time. So we want to focus on some easy and fast way for you to create the dashboards, to kind of manage whatever you want to do. So the rework on the UI and UX to speed up the process of you creating and editing dashboards. So that's one of the key points of attention we have to tackle. And then the other one is also based on feedback that we got is we want to allow users to drag almost any panel or any information that you have on Netdata and drag it to a custom dashboard. We are starting for now with some of those summary dashboards and summary charts, which this included adding some new chart types in the Netdata options. So that's basically the initial point. So this is an ongoing thing, and will be, of course, iteratively making releases on this. It will not be everything in one go. But let me jump probably to the demo, so it's probably easier for you to understand what's the current state. Sorry, and see where we are at the moment. So this is actually an example of an office hours custom dashboard that I made for the demo. So I just pre-made this for you to see. So you can see there's some the titles have been reworked. You can manage the sizes of the titles. You can control the actual size of the box, which was an issue we had on the current dashboards. You see a couple of summary charts that have been placed here. So in this example, I brought some summary charts of our Redis machines or Redis application that we have. I put here some of our disks, and then I brought in some of our Postgres SQL. So if you want to mix and match a couple of metrics across nodes, across applications, you can now easily bring this stuff in. And then, of course, you can add the normal charts that you see here. All of these are resizable. Of course, you need to control what size is the ideal for you. You can drag and drop them across the place, so for you to kind of rearrange how you want to see the chart. So, and this kind of it gives you a lot of flexibility. So you need to kind of just place them the way you want. Again, the titles and the sizes, you can control all of this. So yeah, basically it's these kind of improvements. And how easy is it to create this stuff? So you can, as usual, go through the normal process, create a new dashboard. So let me just start here. So office hours tests. You can start with a blank chart and then add some of them, or you can go to the metrics tab, and since our dashboard is open here, I can just come here, for example, this total network inbound, and I want to drag it to my my new dashboard. So you can already kind of define the placement of the chart where you want to place it. I'll also bring the total nodes by CPU to this one as an example. This is of course still in our kind of our tests. We know this kind of dragging and dropping needs a bit of attention, but yeah, it's a way for you to manage it, and just add one more just for you to see different charts being added there. So let me add it here, and once you have all the charts you want on the custom dashboards, you can then easily sort them out because the screen is much bigger. You can more easily control the way you place. You can then add charts from here as well, and add the test label. So subsection example. And again, as I mentioned, you can control the size you want to place here and control and create multiple subsections and placements. So I can even come here to this chart, reduce it by kind of a half in terms of width, and make it sizable here. And then all of the configurations that you have on our charts, where you want to filter by specific instances, and you want to make this as a saved dashboard, focus on those 2 instances out of those 16 nodes. It's configurable. Even for these charts, you can go to the labels or to the dimensions, and I say I want to only have the user CPU, and the values will be just focusing on user CPU. So you can really customize this stuff on custom dashboards.
You can also change the chart type. You can choose whatever chart type you want across the summary chart types or the time series chart types.
As good point, Shyam. As I was saying, for you to be able to create these summary charts, we had to include these new chart types that were already available. So our summary charts were already using these chart types. They were just not exposed for the users to select them. So now you can have value numbers. You can have group boxes, like this is our kind of a Kubernetes host map that you can see. You can have gauges. So you basically can choose what chart types. In this case, it's the top nodes by CPU. So these kind of bars make more sense, but it's up to you to decide what you want to have. So let me just quickly see. We have a couple of discussion on the.
Yeah. In the meantime, I just want to say that we've had a lot of feedback in the past that users sometimes say that I'm using Netdata to specifically monitor this thing or these 2 things. So I don't really want to see all of the other stuff that you show me every time. Like I might not care about the infrastructure metrics or the system overview if I'm specifically focused on Postgres, for example. So now you have a way to do this. You can create, you're only limited by your own creativity. You can sort them in whatever fashion you want, and you have the full flexibility. You can drag and drop, resize, choose the chart types, choose what it's filtered by, which instances you want to show. So yeah, the sky's the limit. We eventually want to maybe have a place where where we have a dashboard marketplace or something where you can showcase dashboards that you built. So let's say that you build a really nice Postgres dashboard. You should be able to share it with the rest of the Netdata community, and they should be able to kind of make use of that as well. That's something that we have in mind. Of course, we still believe that any feedback that you share, we will try to incorporate it into the standard metrics tab so that the default out of the box view is good enough for practically everybody. But of course, we understand that everybody will have very specific needs that might be specific to your use case, to your deployment. That's where custom dashboards will hopefully be helpful.
Exactly. Hopefully, this marketplace will be something that community can build upon on it, and the people can help each other with specific needs.
And regardless of the marketplace or not, once this feature is out, we would love to see some custom dashboards that you guys build. So anything that you can share on Discord would be much appreciated. We're looking forward to it.
For sure. So just picking up on a question that it was already answered by Satya, but just to bring it to the attention of the audience. So Luis was asking if these dashboard changes will come before or after being able to save filters on the main dashboard, or is it an alternative? So we are actually working on the 2 things. We want to provide the 2 functionalities to Netdata. Most probably the new dashboards will be out faster, will be out sooner because it's more advanced in terms of the development, but one will not replace the other. So we will also allow users to have customization settings for themselves, for the space, for the room, which will be applied to a specific chart in a specific dashboard in the metrics in a specific node, but independent of the custom dashboard. So that's customization settings, and custom dashboards is really a full-fledged dashboard that you can also have basically shared to your room, and also have a working version of yours that you're kind of creating it, and it's still in a draft mode. It's not yet ready to be published to everybody on the room or the space. So it's like your working version, and once you're ready, you can publish it and make it available. So the two things are different. So I think don't see any more questions. So since we touched about what the two features, so I can probably jump into the upcoming plans. So as I mentioned, this is for the next couple of months, so it's not until the end of the year kind of a roadmap. What we are actually working at the moment, as we can see, the easy and fast way to create custom dashboards. So this is initial step into this. There's more things we want to add. We want to improve the way we operate with Prometheus Open Metrics. So we want to make it more easy for you to configure and create your own integrations, your Prometheus endpoint integrations, and make the way you see the metrics on the metrics tab more kind of aligned to a kind of a native application that Netdata monitors, including maybe even introducing the heat maps charts available here. We are also working on the dynamic configuration from the UI. So this is across any configuration you can do on the agent. It can be the alerts, it can be the retention, it can be streaming, it can be the activation of collectors or jobs in the collectors. So we want to allow this from the UI immediately. I want to configure something. I don't need to go to the terminal, edit, config some file, and do it. So from the UI, you'll be able to do it. So this is also work that we are doing at the moment. We are bringing some more notification integrations to Netdata Cloud. So Microsoft Teams, ServiceNow. We are looking also to improving the sign in and the way you authenticate to Netdata with, for example, Okta single sign-on. And the work on logs. As you know, we started with the systemd journal logs. We are actually working on the Loki integration at the moment, but we want to bring Elastic in. We want to do some UI and front-end improvements to make it more kind of the usability more interesting for you and bring more features in terms of the UI. So this is like the immediate things we are working at the moment. And then as kind of a follow-up after we start completing some of this stuff, we'll be picking up on next features. And one new one that we recently kind of brought from some internal discussions is the introduction of a hacker plan. So we know we introduced the community plan with some limitations, like up to 5 nodes. And we were already discussing when we did that we probably should have a kind of intermediate plan between community and between business that will be for home labs. So users that are not using this for professional purposes, they're not using it as a company, they are not using to provide services and sell services and using Netdata to do that. So we decided that it makes sense to have a kind of an intermediate plan here where we will have a fair usage policy that will be announced and will be published. So based on that, if the user falls through the conditions on the fair usage policy, they will have the hacker plan. And
Yeah,
this hacker plan,
if you're using Netdata purely for personal reasons or home reasons, then we want there to be a way that you can still subscribe to Netdata, get all access to all the features, but at a flat rate, right? So it doesn't scale necessarily per node. So we're still figuring out exactly what the pricing model is going to be. But the idea is that we want to make this accessible to as many people who want to be on it.
and even we had people saying that they would like to give some kind of a donation to Netdata for the product that we are building. And this plan could also be a way for people to contribute in some way to support us. So, yeah. The next thing we have in plans is like a state manager monitor. So we know we have a lot of information about uptime on some applications. Even our collectors know the status of the applications that they are monitoring. at the moment, this information is not surfaced into the app in all places. So we want to kind of consolidate and bring all this kind of information about what's the state of my services, what is the status of my applications, uptime, is it running, is it not running. So we want to bring that as a kind of a consolidated view across all the things you have on running on your infrastructure. So this is a new kind of a, let's say, a new tab, a new place you will be able to have this in a kind of centralized
So
place.
this is also based on feedback from users from the community, that sometimes they ask, I just want one tab or one page where I can go and see, is everything up and running? Is it all running okay, right? And right now, the nodes tab is kind of that place, but again, you have to scroll a lot. You see the per node information, but you don't necessarily see if your database is up and running or your Redis instance is up and running. We have those charts. We have uptime charts for most of the services that we have, but sometimes they're visualized in time series, which again are not really suitable for just saying if something is up or not. So we want to have a place where this is visualized as it should be, and you can just quickly understand, does anything need an attention again, right?
Yeah. As the name says, it's really a state management monitor. You look at it and you can easily spot the things that you need to pay attention to that might be misbehaving. Another point, also for some feedback we got from users we have been speaking to, is that we have our internal way to of course to subscribe and to allow users to pay to use Netdata, but we had some feedback that people that use AWS and have an account with AWS, they would like to have their monitoring solution integrated into the billing of their AWS account, for example. So if they want to use Netdata and use it and install it from the AWS marketplace, so we also bring in Netdata to be available on the marketplace, they would like to have the billing integrated through AWS. So this is a point we are looking at it, and we want to make it available. We still have some unknowns on this process, but it's something we'll
Yeah,
be able to do.
this is primarily for the user's convenience. So they just get one bill directly as part of the AWS bill that they're already used to. They don't need to handle a separate billing process, yet again, separate approvals and everything for Netdata specifically, right?
All will fall under the infrastructure budget, let's say, that
Yeah.
the companies will have. And as Satya is sharing on the chat, we are starting with AWS, but we will also want to do it for other cloud
Yep.
providers like Azure, GCP. So it's the starting point. So
And your Netdata bill is going to be a small fraction of your AWS bill anyway. So
yeah, not hopefully, it will not cause impact. So it's easy for the finance departments to kind of accept it and not create a fuss about it. And then the next thing we want to complete, let's say, is our alert silencing. So we did a first iteration, we did the release of this, but at the time to get this out to the users, we cut some features at that time, and we need to kind of complete it. Let's say we want to place some badges to give you information where the silencing rules are applied at a node, at a room, a specific alert, and then some quick action links. I want to snooze a node immediately. I want to silence a room. So you should have some quick action links for you to be able to do it immediately and not going through the alert silencing configuration manager. So you should have these quick actions. But we also want to allow to have these recurring maintenance schedulers. So for now, you create a rule from one time to another, to a start time to an end time, but it's going to be a recurring rule. So you should have a possibility to say every week or every month at this time or this day, this rule is to be applied as a silencing rule. So we also want to bring that in. And then extending the attributes that you use to create the rules. So we should also allow it to be used to be configurable based on alert status. So for example, I don't want to get notified on any warning status or cleared status or something like that. So you should be able to also manage this by the alert status and create the rules. And lastly, the one that we were just chatting before, it's the customizable settings. So we want to bring this capability for you to configure charts, dashboards, some filter saved views. If you're using the filters on the events or the logs, you should be able to save some filter views that can be for yourself or share across the members on the room or the space. So this is, of course, something we want to bring, and we got this feedback, of course, from the community, and it's something that makes sense for us to bring into Netdata. This is already quite a few things that we have on our plans. Let's see how it goes. But first, let's get this home tab, the custom dashboards, and then start bringing some of the stuff in. I just left here a link, which is to our GitHub repo. Let me quickly probably show what's here. We are already showing some of this stuff on the what's coming new, what's new and what's coming. So this is not yet updated because we just recently completed our internal planning for the roadmap. We'll be updating the what's new section and coming on this GitHub repo. So if you want to follow on what we are doing, what's upcoming, what has been released, so you can always look here into the details and understand what's in the plans. And of course, when there's a new update here, we'll be sharing on office hours as usual. So just quickly making a pause to see if there's any questions or any feedback about what we went through so far. Yeah, Satya is saying that some of those that are next we are already actively working on. Yeah, because we have some components like backend and front end work. We try to also get backend work ready before we pick up on the front end. So there's stuff we already started in a way. Yeah. So if there's no questions, I can probably jump to the last point of this, which is some questions and feedback raised by the community. So I have a couple of things that we collected from Discord or the forum. So there's a recurring thing that we are seeing both on forums and Discord about some agent IU CPU usage and users asking how can I troubleshoot and solve this. So this is under investigation. We don't have yet a fix for it, but I'm just sharing here a kind of a tip and pointer. So if you have this case, you can use the htop command that helps you identify the threads that are causing this issue, how you can kind of extend and have a tree view of the processes, and you can flag what's there. So in this case, it was the SLK sync thread that was causing this, and the logs on Netdata were showing some alert checkpoint request received messages, and this is our clue to proceed with the investigation. So we have some pointer where the issue might be. We are actively looking at this, but yeah, if you are having this case, you can confirm and check through this process if it's the same case you have. The next one is about vSphere integration. So a user was asking about seeing all ESXi hosts and VMs as nodes. So the user integrated vSphere and tested this integration, but was expecting to see what I just mentioned. But in this case, what Netdata brings to you is on the hosts and VMs. You can see them on the metrics tab under the section of vSphere. So you'll see them as the metrics there on the charts. And the nodes that you see on Netdata are really the Netdata agents that are installed on the hosts. So in these VMs and these hosts, if you didn't install an agent there, they will not be seen as hosts. So these are just on the metrics. So that's the kind of distinction in this case. The next one is about journal CTL logs filled with Netdata charts, the plugin messages. So just a reminder, in latest release, we made a change to our default location for logs. So our logs are currently being sent to the systemd journal. And how can users kind of control the verbosity, let's say, of these Netdata logs? For this specific plugin, this was expected because it logs every success and fail, and when using this sudo by default. But this can be disabled on the ATC sudoers. You can default it and say to not have the logs allowed thing. So it's configurable. If you want to know a bit more, you can jump into the Discord thread. There's links to this documentation, and you can control these logs. So just a tip for users. And the last one, it was a question actually about some user that was looking to some BCC tools methods within eBPF to get some system stats. And he was asking if we will not be using some of these tools like cache stat, bio latency, XFS lower, and XFS dist. And the feedback that we shared is that we don't use these tools directly. because they need dependencies when you're building the agent, installing the agent, and we didn't want to have those dependencies on our kind of let's say dependency tree of our agent. So the general idea is of these binary tools is first to do exactly the same. So what we are doing is having these binaries compiled on per group of kernels. We have some core files with most recent kernel, and basically in summary, to not go through all of that, we are getting the same metrics that you get from these tools. We are working on changes for eBPF to have more clear metric names that we are collecting. So we are renaming a couple of these eBPF metrics. So when you're comparing these tools with what Netdata brings to you, you can see that it's exactly the same metrics without the necessity to install all of these packages and compile eBPF binaries. So the end game is to have the same kind of a functionality that these tools will bring to you.
Yeah, I think in general, we're trying to see how we can enhance our eBPF monitoring to get more metrics. We've also done a proof of concept, which should make it into the product soon, about gathering thread level metrics using eBPF. So you can gather metrics which kind of give indications about the memory usage and more about each individual thread. Um,
Thanks for adding that. It was a recent POC that we did, and it will be a good addition to the releases. So this was the last slide. So just quickly checking on the thread if there's anything else popping up. I don't think there is anything. So if there's nothing else, we probably will wrap it up here. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks, Shyam, again for attending and sharing your work on the homepage revamp. And see you guys on the next one. Oh, sorry. Actually,
thanks for the time, everybody. Have a good day.
Sorry, it seems a question popped up.
Oh, there's a question.
Is there an easy way to reduce data points and reduce memory footprint? Okay, yeah. So we have a page specifically that I can probably share on the thread, or I can go here. So
Yeah,
if you
I think the short answer is, you have the flexibility to disable any plugins or collectors that you're not using. You can also choose to keep them enabled, but change how frequently the metrics are being collected. So if these are metrics that you don't particularly care about, you could change the data collection interval from 1 second to 10 seconds, for example. This would make a huge difference in the number of data points in the memory footprint. But like Hugo mentioned, I think we have a documentation page which goes into the details about everything that you can do to reduce the memory footprint and the CPU impact.
As Shyam was saying, so disabling the unneeded plugins or collectors, reducing the data collection frequency. So you have pointers and tips on this page that you can kind of configure up to your needs and to control your memory usage. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was not showing it. Basically, the one that I shared just on the on the chat. So the one that I shared in the chat is having these two points. That it's basically what we were speaking about. Yeah. If you still have some issues, just then open jump on Discord or open some question on the forum. We'll gladly help if this doesn't solve your issue. So yeah, basically let us know if this doesn't meet your needs.
Yeah, another recommended way to do it, which you might already have done, is to set up parent agents so that the individual agents of the nodes are not doing all the processing themselves, right? So if you have parent agents, you could just offload all the processing, all of the data retention, everything to the parent agent, right? The anomaly detection, the alerts. So your child agents, the majority of your agents or your nodes would just be streaming data somewhere, and the memory footprint, the CPU cost, the data points, everything would be reduced because of this. Not the data points, but for the data points, you have the other options, right? You can choose to turn off certain things or change the data granularity.
Exactly. So you have multiple combinations of setups that you can do. Yeah. Hopefully, all of them or a combination of them will sort out the needs that you have. Yeah. So I guess then that's it. So see you guys on the next one, and great to have you with us.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Goodbye again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.